So, today I thought I would do a tag because honestly I can't remember the last time I did a tag. It has to have been a few years ago. I don't know if it's just the channels I watch, but I haven't necessarily noticed many tags floating about in the past few years. So anyway, I thought today would be a good time to just chill out and do a tag because honestly I couldn't be bothered to think about things. I'm not very well. You might be able to hear. If you do, apologies. So I thought I would do the dilemmas of a book nerd tag because this is the one that I've seen floating about. Original I will link down below along with questions, etc, etc. Let's get into it. So number one is book storage. How do you store and organise your books? Now honestly, the books that I've got behind me, these are my partner's books in these two shelves. These are my to be read books. How I store them is just any way that they will fit. As you can see at the moment, these shelves are stuffed to the brim. However, I have massive bookshelves that are about 3 times the size of these ones in my parents' garage at the moment, along with the other books that I own, and they are currently stored in boxes. But when we're going to be moving house, we've got the keys actually this week, which is exciting. So once a few things have been done, we're going to be moving in there, and I'm going to be making a little study for myself with all of my books and all of my shelves, which I'm very excited about. In terms of does this apply to how I organise my books, I'm going to go into that anyway. Honestly, I try to just organise them loosely in genre, so I'll have like a non-fiction shelf which is down here, and then these are general fiction, and then there's a classics shelf up the top, because I did try to do it more precisely and do it in like colour order within the sections once, but then I found it's a real pain in the backside when you buy a new book and you have to like move all of the books to get the new book into the colour coded section. Not worth it, I tell you, not worth it. So I just generally do them in genre. At the moment they're a bit messed up because I've run out of room, especially my non-fiction shelf is just, I mean, it's only one shelf, so it's very crammed in there. So yeah, that's how I currently store my books, but soon they will all be together like one big happy bookish family. Number 2, tracking. How do you keep track of what you have read and what books you own? Keeping track of what I've read, I guess kind of YouTube helps me to keep track, but predominantly I use Goodreads, so I don't use it the way that I used to, where I really used to love putting in my word count and like updating it every day. I don't do that anymore because I just don't have the time and I'd rather just be reading. However, I do add books onto my Goodreads every time I finish, and it's a nice way to track my progress, I guess, and how much I'm reading. In terms of how I track what I own, I don't really. I don't feel the need to know how many to be read books I have. All I know is that it's a lot, probably surpassing 300, although that number has gone down a lot this year because I haven't bought as many books, but I mean, I still have a lot of books to be read, and as I say, I just don't see the point in tracking them. Is that a thing people do? I guess, but yeah, I don't. Number 3, borrow. Do you lend books out? Well, the simple answer to this is no. Admittedly, I will give my mum a book every now and again, but it comes with a whole set of rules, and well, there was one time where it did not go well, and I don't know if that's going to be happening again. So there's not been overly loads of times when I've lent out books and not got them back, but there's been enough. Like, there's been probably 2 or 3 times when I've lent out a book and not got it back, and I mean, I know from borrowing books from friends in the past, it's not easy to get that book back to them in time, you know, especially when you've got loads of other books to read. It kind of just gets put to the side. Yeah, I do give away my books that I don't think I'll read again, so I suppose you could count that as lending out, but just a forever loan, because I don't want to lend out a book that I'm expecting to get back. But there is a lady that I give all of my unwanted books to, so it's kind of a loan, right? It counts. But yes, as I say, I'll sometimes lend to my mum, but the last book that she brought back was not in a good condition, and well, we're going to be having words about that. Number 4, buying. How do you buy or acquire your books? In the normal way, I go into a shop. I know I'm joking. So this varies. A lot of the time at the moment it is charity shops, although I have conflicted views about buying books from charity shops. See previous video. But I do generally buy them in charity shops at the moment because, as I say, I've not been buying many books because I haven't had much money. Refer to buying a house this year. So that's predominantly been how it is at the moment. A lot of books as well I buy online. The town that I live in doesn't actually have a bookshop. Well, I tell a lie, we have quite a large charity bookshop, but because it is a small scale charity. It's a local charity. It's not like Oxfam or anything like that. It's literally open from 11 until 1 every day. Now, that frustrates me. I've never been able to go there because I'm never available between 11 and 1. Oh, and by the way, it's shut at weekends. I mean, there you go. So a lot of my book buying is online, but I always stick with like independent bookshops. And recently I found a website called Hive, which I'm sure I'm totally late to the game on this. Amazing. You can buy a book, like, it's kind of like at Amazon prices, and they donate money to local bookshop of your choosing. It's amazing. So I've been using that a bit, and I also just generally look to see if independent bookshops have websites and the books I want. Number 5, comments. How do you respond to the "how do you read so much" comment or similar? To be honest, this comment kind of irritates me because I think obviously sometimes there are times in your life where you genuinely don't have time for reading, but I think people who say that they don't have time for reading are people who don't make time for reading. I think you always make time you enjoy, and I definitely think a lot of people who say that they don't have time for reading are the kind of people who will spend their entire commute on their phone or their evenings in front of the television. That is time that you could dedicate to reading. I think it's just about making it a priority and not leaving it until you're not actually doing anything else and then being like, oh, I could read. You just have to pick up a book. Like, I never really sit down in the evening unless I'm specifically watching a programme that I've set time aside to watch. I won't reach for the remote, I won't reach for my phone, I'll reach for a book. It's just my nature, it's just what I'm used to doing, it's how I relax, I guess. Admittedly, I haven't been making it as much time for reading recently as I've wanted to, but I always make sure like that a day does not go past when I don't read at least 20 pages or more. So I genuinely think it's just about making it a priority and being sure that you've always got a book with you and that you're actively reaching for it instead of other things. Number 6, next book. How do you pick what you read next? To be honest, at the moment this is a bit of a free-for-all. I've gone through all of the things. So I used to set like a reading list for the month. I used to have monthly challenges that I would follow and that would decide what I would read. And now I just pick up what I want. I mean, I say that, I don't specifically pick up what I want every time. I know the old books on my shelf and I generally try and gravitate towards at least a few of those a month. And other than that, length plays a part. If it's the start of the month, I'm more liable to pick up the thicker books on my shelf, whereas if it's coming towards the end of the month and I want to sort of boost my monthly reading count so I can do a good review on my channel, I will pick up a short book that I know I can finish in the time. Number 7, travel. How do you pick what books you take on vacation? To be honest, again, length is probably the predominant factor here. So I always pick really long books to take on holiday. For example, the last few holidays I've been on, I've taken Gone with the Wind, I took on 2 vacations abroad. Then I took The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. I took that to Cornwall with me, and this year I took The Mad Ship by Robin Hobb with me on holiday. So, you know, length is the predominant thing for me. I want a book that I can really get stuck into, and also I find long books are just more convenient. I don't have to worry about packing loads of books when I take a long book with me. I don't get as much reading done as I would like to on a holiday anymore. The one in Wales, actually, I did manage to finish that book because we were doing a lot more chilling out in like this isolated cabin. It was really nice. But generally we're quite busy on holiday. We're the kind of people who do go places and do things all the time. So that's why I took Gone with the Wind on 2 holidays, for example. But yeah, length is a thing for me. And I think also I'm getting into like habits. So like, if I hadn't have taken the Robin Hobb to Wales with me, I would have taken the second Patrick Rothfuss book. I can't think what it's called, The Wise Man's Fear. That was kind of what I had in the back of my mind, but then I just got totally carried away with Robin Hobb this year, and you know, it's the same kind of thing, really long fantasy. Anyway, long books. If there's a longer book on my shelf, will go with me on holiday. Number 8, Annotate. Do you write, highlight or mark your books in any way? I actually made a video about this a few years ago. I'll link it down below if I can find it. And I had started to underline passages in books and I was really enjoying it, and I was finding that it really helped me to highlight the bits that I loved, and it was really interesting to flick back through those books. But honestly, that's a habit which only lasted probably about 2 months. Generally, I don't write in my books. I don't annotate them in any way. I don't know, I don't feel the need to do that. That said, I do really like it when you buy a second-hand book and it's got someone else's annotations in it, or where they've just underlined pieces, because you can kind of think, oh, well, why did they underline that? Why did that mean something to them? So I do find that interesting, and I do think it's admirable for people who really mark up their books and make them their own. But for me, there's just something uncomfortable about writing in a book. And also, you know, not every book is going to have sentences that you want to highlight, and yet a book can still be really good and really impactful as a whole. So yeah, it's just not something I do anymore, though I did have a period of doing it and I really enjoyed doing it when I did it. Number 9, new or backlist, which do you prefer? For me, it's always backlist. I'm sure anyone on my channel will know I'm not one for reading new books particularly, although I have been better this year and I'm making more of an effort to read new books mixed in with backlist books. But I think for someone who has such a big TBR, unless I put loads of books to the side to get to new books, it doesn't happen. So backlist books generally come first for me, and also, you know, if a book comes out, I know it's going to be around in a few years' time and I can get to it then. Number 10 is the last question, sequels. Do you read books as they are released, or do you wait until the entire series is published? To be honest, this isn't really relevant to me because I very, very rarely read a series. Yeah, I'm just not a series reader. Again, I made a video about this. I'll link it down below if I can find it. But yeah, I'm not a predominantly series reader. If I do read a series, I usually come to it after it's been out for years, like the Robin Hood books, and as I say, I've been reading the Patrick Rothfuss series slowly. So yeah, if I do come to a series, which doesn't happen often at all, it will be after they've all been released. So I guess I wait until they're all published. That said, I don't read them one after the other. I can't do that. I need to have books that are very different to each other, else I just blur into one. So I do, even if I'll pick up a series that is already published, I'll leave it like a year between books. Anyway, so that's the tag. Feel free to do this if you haven't already, and I'll look out for your videos or link them down below. And I will see you next time. Bye!